Warning, there are profanity, topics, and other opinions that could offend you. Please watch and or listen at your own risk, and enjoy the show. Hey guys, what's up? It's RDiK, old school duelist from the call me, and welcome back to another amazing episode of the Voidcast where no topic is off the table. This is my third attempt at trying to record the podcast. Well, second attempt in this session. I did record it all the way, like I recorded the full episode, but I didn't like it, so I wanted to re-record it, because I'd also learned a couple things, plus I also thought about what I'd said a couple times, and it just didn't make sense. So we're giving it another go. And before we jump into it, because this week is going to be all about Pokemon, so there's going to be no chit-chat. We're doing things a little bit different than this episode. But before we jump into it, normally this is the point where I tell you guys to go pause the episode and tell someone about the podcast, because it is a huge help. It's very helpful, and the biggest way you can support the podcast. It's very helpful. Word of mouth is obviously the best type of advertising. Well, not advertising, the best type of promoting for a podcast. So if you guys want to do me a huge favor and just pause the episode, tell someone about the podcast, and just be a great help. But now that you've unpaused it, yeah, we're going to jump into this podcast. So this week is the final week and the final episode of week 4 of the countdown to Pokemon Let's Go. Now we're going to break down everything that I've talked about this week on Pokemon, for counting down up to Pokemon Let's Go, because we've hit on a topic, like, we've had a lot of information come out, and we still have 5 more days until Pokemon Let's Go comes out. So that gives Nintendo 5 more days to drop some groundbreaking information, which they are notorious for doing. Like a few days before, just saying, "Oh yeah, this cool thing, it's here." And I think we've already got that drop last week with the trailer for, all the gym leaders and stuff. So I still think there's still more to know about the game, and I still feel like Nintendo's got one more thing up their sleeve to be like, okay, upload this trailer. So I'm really interested to see what they're going to do with the game. I'm excited, but let's get into the reasons why. First, we're going to start off is, what is Pokemon Let's Go? If you don't follow, if you live under a rock when it comes to video games, then you don't know that Pokemon Let's Go is the newest main title Pokemon game that's coming for the Switch. It'll be the first Pokemon game for the Switch, and it's going to be amazing, as I've already said. But it's Pokemon first generation. It's kind of like a reboot, not reboot, like revisiting the Kanto remake of Generation 1. But is it really a remake of Generation 1 of, like, Pokemon Yellow? Yes, it shares a lot of similarities to Pokemon Yellow, but it also shares a bunch of different things where it's like, is this really a remake, or is it just a revisit to Kanto? There's obviously a lot of fan theories going around. Where does Pokemon Let's Go fit into the lore of Pokemon? But this is not that type of episode right now. It's just throwing it out there. So yeah, we've got Pokemon with a Pokemon Go mechanic built in for catching them, which means if you don't play Pokemon Go, it is a mobile game which you walk around and you catch Pokemon. You don't really battle wild Pokemon, you just sort of throw Pokemon or Pokeballs at the Pokemon. Wow. Fuck, dude. Saying Pokemon and Pokeballs a lot really fucks with you. But yeah, it's a really fun game. You attack gyms, you do raids. It's tons of fun. I love the game. I love playing Pokemon Go. I've actually been playing a lot more since the announcement of Pokemon Go, but that's nowhere here or there. Moving on. So yes, that is like the biggest mechanic and the biggest thing for Pokemon Let's Go, and to some people that is a huge downfall, and they're saying it's gonna be a shitty fucking game. But if you take that out of the equation, take Pokemon out of the equation, or take Pokemon Go out of the equation, and you just look at it as just a Pokemon game, the same idea, the same build of the game or idea of the game is still there. You still catch a bunch of Pokemon, build a team of 6, then you beat all the gyms or trials, whichever game it is, then you beat the Elite Four, you beat the evil gang that is trying to do some evil thing. So that's there, and then you catch the legendary, and then you beat the Elite Four, and then you carry on with your day. Finish off one final battle with your rival, and some other things. The base game, like the base idea of the game is there. It's still there in the game, just they're changing a few different things. Like, take when they went from Gen 6 to Gen 7. Instead of doing gyms, they changed it with trials. So, and a lot of people were like, yeah, this is going to be kind of dumb. And I was one of those people. I was legit one of those people that was like, I don't really want to do trials. Personally, I'm happy to go back and do gyms. Trust me, I prefer gyms, but the trials still weren't a bad change. For the idea of Sun and Moon and Ultra Sun and Moon, it still fit with the theme, and it worked perfect. So hopefully, just like what trials worked with Gen 7, hopefully that the Pokemon Go mechanics works with this game very well and with its universe, and it doesn't seem very out of place, like they were just trying to do something out of the ballpark. So I'm really excited for that point. Like, trust me, when this Pokemon Let's Go was first announced, I was like, who the fuck wants this game? I've said that tons of times in the podcast, like reiterating how my initial thoughts on Let's Go, but after learning so much about the game, learning different things they're doing with it, and seeing how they're not completely just shitting on the Pokemon franchise as it is, they're still doing great things with the game. It's still going to be an amazing game. The things that they still included in the game, trust me, with better graphics, a better piece of hardware, they didn't take away, they just took the getting wild Pokemon and they just changed the idea. Everything else in the game is the same. You still have your legendary, you still have your gang, you still have your gyms, you still have your Elite Four, and you still have your overarching story throughout the entire game. So that's all still there. The only thing that is different about that makes this its own game is just the catching mechanic. That honestly is all that is different. So I'm excited. I can very much look past the Pokemon Go, like looking at it from just a trailer standpoint and not actually having played the game yet, that's something we'll get into a little bit later. But without actually having played Pokemon Let's Go, then I can honestly look past the Pokemon Go mechanic and just be like, that's just part of the game. If I want to play the game, that's what I gotta play. So if you guys don't like it, don't shit on the game like without even playing it. Just don't fucking buy it. I mean, you can still voice your opinion why you didn't want to buy it or why you didn't buy it, but you can't just voice your opinion how the game's terrible when you haven't even played it. That's just not right and just kind of stupid. So yeah, that's about it on that. Like, the game is still a Pokemon game. It still has its core idea of a Pokemon game, just with Pokemon Go in it. That's all. That's the only thing that's different. The Pokemon Go mechanic honestly isn't my grapes about the game. Like, just looking off the trailers, it's not my grapes about the game. Like, I still want to buy it, I still want to play it, and I still want to enjoy the game to its maximum potential as possible. So when it comes out this Friday, November 16th, I will definitely buy it. So I'm excited. So moving on with, the whole point of the game, we're going to look at some other stuff that are definitely changing with the game. With them revisiting Kanto and Gen 1, they are doing some other things with the game. They're taking out abilities and held items, as well as HMs. They're doing something different with that. But that's really interesting to me. I'm kind of excited to see what they do there, or see how much of a difference it does. I'm not a competitive player, so that's why it doesn't bother me as much. If you are a competitive player, then yeah, it probably bothers you a lot. But let's look at it from a backing standpoint. Let's take a trip in the time capsule. Back in the day when Pokemon first was released, Pokemon Red, Blue, and Yellow, there was no held items and there was no abilities, and people still made a competitive team out of it. There's still competitive tournaments of what the best way I can describe it is classic format, which that's honestly what Pokemon can do with this game. If they want to make the competitive scene about it, they can call it the classic format. Yes, at one point it will get very stale and it will become hey, let me do this crazy idea for a team and see if it works. And the only way that could improve it is if Pokemon does release a new Pokemon game, or just update it to the point where they're just adding generations. Even if it's one generation at a time, it'll make a huge difference, and it'll make the game very refreshing because they'll have a whole year before the next Pokemon Gen 8 comes out. So they can do a lot within a year. Think about it. A game being out for a year, if you count so many updates, think about Grand Theft Auto. That game's been around for, I want to say, 5 years, and they've done so much, and it still is in the top 5 games every month. So within a year, they can improve on Pokemon Let's Go and make it an amazing game. Moving on with the competitive scene of Pokemon Let's Go, like I said, it can come to a stale point. Like, you can get something that's like, oh, well, this is kind of like after maybe 6 months, if they do decide to do make it a classic format, because that's what I feel like they could do. They could do Pokemon classic format and just use the Switch, and then they have the more advanced tournaments with the Gen 7. So I'm excited, and especially with adding Meltan, new moves, a new typing within Gen 1 with fairies. That's pretty cool. It'll definitely change the idea because, back in the day, it was, get your Dragonite, get your Gengar, get your Alakazam, throw in any other starter, Charizard or Blastoise, really, because let's be honest, things were kind of sucks. But, you throw that in there, and, that was kind of like, that was it. That was the game. But now with Fairy in there, you have your answer to Dragonites. Like, say you can throw in a Wigglytuff or a Clefable, and you could just body that Dragonite like it's nobody's business. And then you have to come up with an answer to Clefable. So there is a lot of answers there. And also with Megas being a thing, Mega Evolutions, that is still a thing in the game. So you can add that into there. So that's another thing you have to think about. Which person is going to be their Mega? Because we don't know if it's still going to only be 1 Mega per battle. I'm assuming they're still going to keep it 1 Mega per battle. But if, you put that in there and there's, you're thinking, which Pokemon is their Mega? So then you have to take that into if it's Gyarados, you have to get, Dragon, or you have to get Thunder in there because it becomes Water Dragon. Yes, Dragon is resistant to water, or Dragon is resistant to Thunder, but Water is ×2 to water, or ×2 to electric. So then, it becomes neutral damage. So if you just get someone who is, a heavy hitter, special attack in Thunder, with a stab, same type attack bonus, you can probably do some damage to a Mega Gyarados. There's just tons of things that you have to take into effect to that. Plus, natures are still a thing in the game. I'm not sure if natures were a thing in in Red, Blue, Yellow. I'm not entirely sure. I think so. But if you take natures into effect, then you could be like, well, I have to get a Gengar that is Jolly or is Adamant. So you got to take that into effect. Boom. Then you're, is it Adamant or Modest? I think it's Modest, actually. That's whichever nature does the special attack bonus and a regular attack debuff. Then you have to take natures into account. Someone might accidentally have the wrong nature, or might have the right nature. You have to take that into effect. So there's still a lot of things that can turn this Gen 151 Pokemon into an insane competitive scene just as much. Like I said, it's still classic, but since Gen 1, and a lot of people are still considering this a Gen 7 game, you can still definitely do a lot of competitive stuff with Let's Go, even though there's no abilities and no held items. Yes, held items can make a huge difference between a good and a bad Pokemon, or turning a bad Pokemon into a good Pokemon, as well as natures. But you just take that out of the equation, and you still have a huge abundance of things that could turn a good team, or a bunch of Pokemon that used to be really bad into a bunch of really good Pokemon. Maybe Mega Venusaur is actually really good. I don't know, I've never actually seen someone play Mega Venusaur. If I ever do, holy fucking shit. I mean, I think that and Vileplume are probably the best grass types you can probably play in the game, I want to say, but I don't know, who knows. Let's see what people do with the competitive scene. I guarantee they're going to have rankings, and people are going to be like, well, I want to be the best at ranking on this. And I'm almost positive there is a cap on CP for Pokemon. So you have to take, your CPs into effect. Plus, I've built competitive teams for tournaments. I think in total, I have 3 competitive teams for tournaments. Obviously, I have a singles team and I have two doubles teams, but, that's no here or there. Anyways, if you take that into account, I'm almost positive they're adding like newer moves into the game. So there's newer moves. There's a whole new type that's added since Gen 1. I think steel is in there as well. Like, you have fairies in there since Gen 1. You have your steels. You have, I think dark was a thing. I'm almost positive dark was a typing. You have flying. Flying is definitely a thing. So that's like 3 or 4 new types since Gen 1. You still have natures. You still have megas. And new moves. So that makes such a huge difference, and you could definitely turn this quote-unquote simple, in air quotes, simple game into such a competitive game as well. A lot of people are still going to view it as like, oh, there's no held items, no abilities, blah, 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 blah. We don't have all the same Pokemon, blah, 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 blah. Gengar is extremely weak to Psychic. Can we just say that? Yes, Gengar is very fast and very special attack, but I'm sorry, he's poison. You throw Alakazam in there, boom, you're going to beat the shit out of that Gengar. You take, what's Alakazam, I want to say is weak to, I can look this up really quick, but I'm almost positive Psychic is weak to Psychic, so you just get a faster Alakazam, and, here, let's just look it up. Psychic, oh, god dang it. God dang it. Psychic, I am drawing a blank how to spell Psychic. Weakness. There we go. Psychic weakness. You got Psychic is vulnerable to dark and ghost. So if you take dark Pokemon, and I'm pretty sure there's a couple Pokemon that are dark in Gen 1. Let's look. Dark Pokemon Gen 1. You have I'll give you 2 seconds. We scroll down. Let's scroll down a little bit. And Gen 1. Can I just get fucking pure dark? Oh, we're going to have a Alolan Rattata. Duh. Alolan Rattata is going to be dark. You got Alolan Meowth and Persian. Those are darks. So there's your answer to Psychics. So, as well as Psychic is also weak to Ghost. So you can just get... I don't know. There's just so many people that are complaining about so many typing. Now I'm looking at the typing. It's making a huge difference. But anyways, moving on. You can turn competitive. Like, you can make this, like, Gen 1 game, technically. Like, Gen 1 remake with only the first 151 Pokemon, you can still make it extremely competitive. There's so many variables that are still in the game that can make the game really fucking good and really fucking competitive. So enough about the competitiveness. Like, I'm a casual player. I mean, I'm probably gonna try and build like a really good team. So that's something that I have to think about. Plus, they still have IVs and EVs that are just done a little bit different. You have your candies. You have your obviously still your leveling up and. So, yeah, candies are really the new way to do EVs and IVs. So, like I said, I'm still very excited, and I still feel like you could still do a competitive scene for Pokemon Let's Go. Just like I said, it'll probably be like classic format or, just simple format. Something. There is a name there that you could use, and I'm pretty sure it's classic format. I think that's legit what it's called, classic format. But moving on with the game, we still have so many other things that are still amazing. There's still... What am I trying to say here? I'm just drawing a blank for words. Anyways, moving on. Something that I really wanted to touch on as well when it comes to not playing the game yet. You can play the game now. Like, I'm just going to be... What the fuck is that? Sorry, there's something on my floor that really bugged me. Anyway, you can play the game now. It's horrible, and I don't think you should do that. But it's out there. There already is an actual copy of the game floating around. There's a video on YouTube of someone there. They either have a review copy or they just got their hands on it, like, illegally before it's released. Like, maybe they knew a person that worked at GameStop or something and they got their hands on the copy. Like, they just stole it because they worked there and they saw the shipment. Who knows how they got their hands on it? Maybe it's either a review copy or it's a illegally obtained copy. Don't play it. Like, I'm telling you guys now, don't play it. guarantee there's people that have already hacked it, and the game's not even fucking out yet. Like, can't we chill for a second? It's really bothersome. But I'm very excited for the game. The game comes out this Friday, November 16th. I'm super duper excited. I'm super duper fucking excited. Like, I'm super duper excited. There's so many things that they can do with it. One thing that I did from a video that I saw today, they did talk about like the Snorlax wild encounter. They had showed screenshots of it, and there was a timer. So maybe like doing the actual like wild encounters, like actual wild Pokemon, like the legendary birds, Snorlax, Mewtwo. Maybe those are timed, like kind of like your raids in a way. Like you have to beat them in a certain time, and then it'll give you a chance to catch them. I don't know what the timer's for. Who knows what the timer's for? Who knows if that timer was even real? But if it's there, that's just another thing that you have to take into account. Like, another thing that I wanted to touch on real quick before we move on to the game of the week, which we have 2 games of the week this week, is I wanted to touch on the fact that people are complaining about what the fuck was it? My mind just totally drew huge blank. God fucking damn it! What the fuck was it? I don't even remember. I really don't remember. What the fuck was it? Oh, how quote unquote easy the game is. I told her, like, sorry about that. That's huge brain fart for a good minute. But people are saying that the game is going to be really easy. The only part they've ever shown is that like they've actually shown gameplay of is fucking Viridian Forest. Viridian Forest is at the beginning of the game. I think it's right after Brock. It's either right after Brock or right before Brock. I think it's right after Brock. I'm almost positive. But it's the beginning of the game. Get over it, people. The game there's been YouTubers who have gone down to the Pokemon, I think it's the European company, like headquarters or whatever. They have, they have dev promises and dev guarantees that the game is hard. That is a lot harder than previous Pokemon game. Because here's a perfect example. If you look at when they were fighting, I think this is in the Gym Leader trailer that they released. In the Gym Leader trailer, they show you fighting Erica. In the original game, it was Vileplume. Vileplume is level 24. In Let's Go, it's level 26. Plus, you have to take into account of stat boosts at that level. Plus, they have to make it like a boss, basically. And they have to do new moves as well. Lieutenant Surge has 3 Pokemon. He's not supposed to have 3 Pokemon in the original game. He's just supposed to have 1. Yes, their levels are a little bit lower than the actual game, but still, he has 3 compared to 1. That makes a huge difference. You could either have 1 giant guy, and that's the only thing you have to worry about, or you fight 3 little bit weaker guys, and they could kill your team. They could body you, no problem, if you're not smart. So the game's gonna get hard, guys. Don't think it's gonna be like, it's just a Let's Go, supposed to tail to more easy or a more younger audience, which that's what they've said that's what they were trying to go for with some parts of the game, but it's not. They have to take actual, like, they have to take like the hardcore fans into account, the hardcore fans that are going to take their time and play this game, who know Pokemon. They have to put that in there. They have to say, hey, this game's still a good game. Knock over. Oh, sorry. I'm just running into everything. Anyways, moving on. So, the people that are shitting on this game and thinking that it's going to be a terrible game, then go fuck yourself. Don't tell me about the game. If you're a person who comments on it or tweets at me on Twitter saying this game's shit, you shouldn't support this game, blah, 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 whatever shitty things you want to say about the game, I don't care. I really don't care. I'll literally mute you. I'm pretty sure, yeah, you can do that on Twitter. I'm just going to mute you so I won't see your shit, because it's, frankly, Pokemon Let's Go is going to be a good game. The company that you've been playing your main core games, yes, we're still going to get the main core title game that comes out in 2019. You're still going to get that game. You're still going to get your classic Pokemon feel with your wild battle encounters, and it's probably going to be, I'm not even lying, it might be better than Let's Go, but we're getting a Pokemon game that is different, still a main title Pokemon game. I always thought it was a spin-off, but it is considered a main title Pokemon game, which I'm not complaining about. It's still going to be a good Pokemon game, because the company Game Freak and the company Nintendo, who's been putting out great Pokemon games. Granted, there's still some that I don't like, but I know tons of people who enjoy the Pokemon games that I didn't like Black and White and Black and White 2. I wasn't a huge fan of Gen 5 games, but there's people out there who still enjoyed Black and White 2. So, guys, don't shit on the game, one, you haven't played, two, don't shit on it because other people are going to like it, including me. I'm going to like this game. I know I'm going to like this game. I know I'm going to enjoy it. And, so, don't want to hear that shit. You guys are just straight up assholes, and you should honestly go fuck yourself. Because you're shitting on a game that, one, you haven't played yet, two, if it's not tailored to you and it's not if it's not doing the things that you like in a video game, don't buy it. Just don't buy it. You'll have your reasons why you're just like, I don't like the Pokemon Go mechanic. Okay. That's good enough reasons to say I'm not going to buy it. Not to be like, oh, it's a shit game, blah, 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 blah. Whatever. I don't give a fuck, man. Sorry. Stuff like that angers me when people judge a book by its cover and talk shit about something that, you don't know you don't have all the answers to. You haven't touched the game. If you've played the game, that is a totally different story, and it doesn't tailor to you. But there's some people that will enjoy the game a lot, including myself, who enjoy it. So, like I said, if you don't like the game, go fuck yourself. Or if you don't like, I'm not going to say if you don't like the game, go fuck yourself. If you don't like the game before you play it, go fuck yourself. I don't want to talk a shit about the game before you play it, go fuck yourself. Because that's judging the book by its cover, and you're kind of an asshole. And you're the toxic part of the gaming community that no one wants to deal with, and that makes the gaming community look bad. Whew, sorry about that little rant. It's just, like I said, when people judge a book by its cover and haven't touched it, they're an asshole. So moving on, that's enough about Pokemon Go. If you guys are excited like Pokemon Let's Go, just like I am very excited to play it. Comes out November 16th, this Friday, and you bet your fucking sweet ass I'll be talking about it probably for the next 2 episodes. Probably not the entire thing. I can almost guarantee it probably won't be I can almost promise and guarantee you guys it won't be the whole thing, but I will talk about it for a good minute on the podcast, so expect that in the next upcoming episodes. So moving on, one thing I forgot to do, because there's one more thing I want to talk about before we get in the game of the week. I want to give a huge shout out to audioboom.com. They're not the sponsor, but I still like to give them a big shout out because they're an amazing company. They give me the tools to upload the podcast anywhere I want, basically. Or at least make it easier for me to upload it a whole lot more places than normal for just a simple low rate of $10 a month. Granted, if they were the sponsor or I was on a higher tier on their then I would I'd get a few more perks, but I'm still happy with what I'm getting for $10 a month. So if you guys want to start a podcast just like me and upload it to other places other than SoundCloud and YouTube at an easier accessibility, then sign up with Audioboom. They're fucking amazing. I want that on a t-shirt. Sign up with Audioboom. They're fucking amazing. Anyways, moving on. So the last thing I want to talk about before I jump into the game of the week is they included the activity data thing. I think I touched on this on a little bit in last week's episode, but I really want to just talk about it again real quick because I'm loving it. I'm still getting my steps, I'm still getting my candies from my buddy, and I'm still hatching my eggs. So that's really awesome. If you haven't turned it on, turn it the fuck on. It's now available to the public. Before they put it behind a level wall, but then they just made sure it was working properly, and then they gave it to everybody. So turn it on, guys. If you play Pokemon Go, at least even a little bit to the point where you want to do your dailies, then turn it the fuck on. But time to move on to the game of the week. So the game of the week, we have 2. The first one I want to talk about really quick is Splatoon 2. I played it probably for the first 2 weeks when it came out, when it first came out on the Switch, and it was fun. It's a really good game. I love playing it, but after I beat what's the name of the game? Hyper Light Drifter, I needed something to still give me I still wanted to play games on my Switch, and I didn't want to buy a new game. Really, because by the time I beat it, I think it was 2 weeks left before Pokemon, and I didn't want to spend money on a new game and then turn around and spend more money on yet another new game 2 weeks later. So I've just been kind of like picking up games that I haven't played in a while, or just I never got around to beating. So Splatoon 2 was one of them, and that's definitely a game I'm loving, especially playing online. And I want a squad, so if you want to be on a squad and play Splatoon 2 with me, then definitely hit me up on Twitter. I'll start a Discord for us and everything, and we could fucking jam it out on some Splatoon 2. And the other game of the week that is like hardcore the game of the week, that's why there's two, because I couldn't decide between the two, is Deltarune. Deltarune is a game. It's when I talked about it in the previous the previous recording that I did of this episode. I knew a lot of the information, but I didn't have all the information on Deltarune. But now I have all the information on Deltarune. So Deltarune isn't so much the exact sequel. It's still set in the world of Undertale. And a lot of similar characters, a lot of similar things are happening that makes you think it's either a sequel or it's a prequel. We don't know exactly yet. Toby Fox haven't said. He said he doesn't know when it's going to be done, but you can play Chapter 1, and Chapter 1 is goddamn amazing. Spoilers, I'm just going to say spoiler now, because I probably will talk about a couple things that will be spoilers. So a couple things that a couple reasons why it makes me think it's a sequel, or a prequel, a prequel to Undertale, because a lot of the characters in the game are mentioned and are there, and they're straight up given moments that you only know about that happened before Undertale. Like Sans, he has 2 eyes. In Undertale, he only has 1 eye. But in Undertale 2, he has 2, in Deltarune, he has 2 eyes, and he's talking about just moving in, and that's really interesting to me. Humans and monsters are interacting with each other. At least I'm pretty sure it's humans and monsters are interacting out there. Now that I'm thinking about it, I don't know if I've actually seen any other humans in the game, but the monsters are there. And it's also right after Asgore and Toriel had split up, because at one point they did split up in the game. It's mentioned in Undertale that they did split up. So this is right after they split up. So you see Asgore with in his shop with the different color flowers and stuff like that. So it hints that this was probably the starting pivotal moment that set things into motion to probably be like the hunt, or the humans and other stuff. The other thing that's not really sitting with me that makes me think this is maybe a sequel or something else that led up to it, or that probably led up to the events in Undertale, is that there's what's being called the Dark World, and that's definitely something that I'm still really curious about. I don't get what that whole point is, so I'm really curious to see what's going on there. And the ending was just holy shit, dude. It just left you with so many thoughts. I'm not going to say the ending, but I'm not going to say what happened in the ending, but it definitely leaves you with, Toby, get on this, dude. This is a game that's definitely going to be a huge selling point on the game in general. It's definitely piqued Undertale's interest so hard. It's introduced characters that you've never seen before. It's also introducing characters that have been in the game before, and you just learn a little bit more about them. Like Alphys is in there, but she's a teacher in the game, and I don't remember ever mentioning in Undertale. I don't remember mentioning that she was a teacher at one point. The flower shop wasn't mentioned. Asgore owning a flower shop in Undertale, but it's it shows points or moments that were, or what's the best way? There's things in the flower shop that represent or show something that could be related to Undertale. If you go upstairs, you'll see different color. You'll see, I think it's 9 flowers, and there's a yellow flower right in the center of all those flowers. So you're just well, what the fuck is this flower thing doing here? And they're all in different cages, and there's just so many, I don't know if they're references, or I don't know if they are direct, hey, this is what happened before this, before Undertale. So it's definitely interesting to see where Toby Fox is going to go with this. I don't know if he's going to just release it free throughout time, just throughout various moments say, oh, here's chapter 2, you can play chapter 1 and chapter 2 now. I don't know, or if he's just going to wait until it's all the way done and just be like, chapter 1 is kind of like, hey, here's the intro to the game, here's a prologue in a way, and then here's the full game that carries on right after those moments in chapter 1. So it's really interesting. I'm definitely curious to see where the game's going to go, and I'm very excited to play, and it's going to be one of those games that, it's one of those games, here, let me back up a little bit before I say this. Undertale was one of those games that I really, really wanted to play. I'd started to play. I watched Jacksepticeye play a whole pacifist run, so I was like, I want to know what the genocide run was all about. So I started to play a genocide run, and then I was like, well, let me watch parts of Jacksepticeye's genocide run that, parts I've already seen, because I don't want to spoil myself. I didn't want to spoil myself to what moments in genocide. Then I found out I was doing the genocide run all wrong, and then when I found out I was doing the genocide run all wrong, I'd already noticed I was already halfway through the game. And so I was like, I don't care. I didn't feel like restarting, so I was like, fuck it, I'm going to watch Jacksepticeye's full genocide run. So like I said, it was one of those games that, like, I'd already seen so much of it being played, like a lot of the story, and it didn't make me want to go back and play it, because nothing would have been new to me. So Deltarune, I'm definitely staying clear of. I'm playing, if something new gets released for Deltarune, I'm going to play the new stuff, then go watch other people play it, like YouTubers that I follow. I'm going to go watch them play it. So it's definitely one of those games that I'm going to try my 110% best to not see everything. So, obviously I'm probably going to get spoiled just between different memes that get shared, different things that or different news, video game news things that I watch. But yeah, I'm very excited to see what Toby Fox does with the game. I don't know, like I said, I don't know if he'll release it in chapters, and it'll be episodic, basically, or it'll be, he'll just carry on, or just, who knows what he's going to do, who knows when it'll all come out, but I'm excited to see what's going on. He's definitely creating buzz, and most of the time, games that get a big hit like Undertale, like indie games like that, most of the time those people are really good at keeping the buzz live. So he got a lot of people hyped for Undertale 2, technically, or Deltarune, and then he's probably going to let all that hype die down, let enough people play it, stuff like that, and then he'll probably bust out something new and be like, hey, don't forget about this, or he'll just release something like a new part of the game or something like that. Who knows? I'm excited. Game looks really fun, the game is really fun, and a lot of things are either changed and or just Easter egg references. So let's see where the game goes and see if it's a prequel, sequel, or just a game that's still in the same world with the same characters. So yeah, that's it for this week's episode of the Voidcast. Thank you guys for watching and or listening to this week's episode of the Voidcast. Now I know I didn't do a Facebook stream this week on Facebook just because there's things I wanted to get done. I wanted to re-record this, and there's other videos I wanted to work on, and I wanted to work on try releasing this week, i.e. I wanted to do my stream archives. I got a lot of things also in the works, things I'm trying to work on. I got a new show that I'm trying to come up with. I don't want to tell you guys, I don't want to give you spoilers or anything of it, but definitely tell you guys I got a new show in the works that I'm working on, so I'm trying to also trying to work on advertising right now too, trying to get the stuff out there. I want to work on a couple advertising things, just to get some more traction on the page and everything like that. But if you guys want to do a huge favor, like I said before, definitely tell someone about the podcast. Like, tell someone after you're done watching it. If you listen the whole way through and you didn't tell anybody, after the podcast is over, tell someone. I want you guys to share this episode with somebody, and it'll definitely, hopefully they come back and they stay around. If not, if you guys want to continue to follow me and watch me, I stream every Tuesday on Twitch. That's twitch.tv/OSDuelist12. Link is in the description down below. You can follow me on Twitter at OSDuelist12 on Twitter. You can subscribe to me on YouTube, which is youtube.com/OldSchoolDuelist12. You can also hit me up on Facebook, which is facebook.com/OSDuelist12. basically anything but YouTube is OLDSCHOOLDUELIST12. So if you want to try and look for me there, look for me there. Or you can follow me, you can listen to the podcast every Monday on YouTube at noon, or you can listen to it audibly if like you just want it to be playing in your car, or while you're running, or while you're doing some work somewhere. You can listen to it on audioboom.com or iTunes, Google Play, and Spotify. Yep. So you can catch the podcast on those places, and it uploads there at midnight. So while you're getting ready for work, while you're on your way to work, wherever you want to listen to it audibly, you can listen to me there basically as soon as you wake up. So thank you guys, and have a wonderful, beautiful night, day thing, or whatever.
Thank you.